What if quitting too soon is the biggest mistake you can make once you have decided upon and started on the path to achieving an important goal that you have decided for yourself? And truly, in this video, I hope that you will discover that quitting too soon is absolutely, positively your biggest mistake once you have decided upon a worthwhile goal and purpose that you're working toward. And the question might be, why do people quit too soon and give up when things get rough and things get tough? Well, first of all, I have an alarming statistic for you, is that really only the 5% remain consistent and persistent in spite of all obstacles until they achieve their important goals. Now, to remain in the top 5% to reach the top and achieve your goal is a decision. But it's a decision that's repeated day after day, challenge after challenge, roadblock after roadblock, no matter what. I don't know what your decision is to be amongst the top 5% or to just gravitate to the 95%, which is the majority of the population. First, you need to decide where you want to belong. Then you can have a dialogue about why quitting too soon is your biggest mistake once you have decided on your worthwhile goal. Let's ask the question. Basically, why do people quit too soon? What are some of the reasons? Well, one of the many reasons is comparison with others. Looking at other people who have achieved what you are aiming to achieve, and they appear far ahead of where you are. So you compare where your progress is to where someone else is, and you become discouraged. But you have to remind yourself that the other person with whom you are comparing yourself started where you started. And you are comparing yourself probably with someone else who has paid the price and paid his or her dues to get to the point where they are. And you have not reached that point yet, and so your comparison is not a fair comparison and will only serve to discourage you. Another reason why people give up too soon is unrealistic expectations. You need to do your research and understand realistically how long it usually takes to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to achieve a college degree, you have to realistically expect that it's going to take 4 years. If you want to achieve a master's degree, then you have to realistically expect to consistently dedicate maybe 2.5 years of study. And the other reason why people quit too soon is lack of patience. They feel that it's taking too long. Well, the thing is that time is going to pass anyway. And if what you need to do is going to take 10 years or 5 years, how old will you be in 5 years or 10 years from now? 5 years older or 10 years older? Time is still going to move. But the idea is not whether or not in 5 years or 10 years from now you'll be 5 years or 10 years older. The question is, where will you be on the path of your goal once that 5 or 10 years have arrived? The idea is that you have to make the decision to do whatever it takes to move along the path of the time that you need to continue in order to reach that goal. There is another factor which encourages people, or rather, should I say, discourages people to continue, is the inability to endure that period of silence or when there's no observable progress. Just because we can't see a root growing under the ground doesn't mean that there's no activity happening there. It is usually around midway in the achievement of a goal when a person tends to get a little impatient and doubt begins to creep in. Because in the beginning stages, that's when you have lots of enthusiasm and energy in moving forward, and you really want to do whatever it takes to get to where you want to go. And also in the end is when there's lots of enthusiasm because you can see the finish line coming up towards you. But the enthusiasm that's most energetic toward the beginning and toward the end when you see the finish line is not the same when it's midway, when things are most quiet. Life has a way of testing you to see if you're willing to stay the course when there's no observable quick results toward the middle. Life wants to see if you really want this bad enough to stay with it in order to receive the prize as the reward. But the most important thing to ask yourself in this whole question of whether or not you should quit or continue is, if you decide to give up, if you decide to quit too soon, what are you left with? I tell you what you're left with. You're left with future regret. 5 years from now, or the 10 years from now, that maybe you would have needed to endure to reach that goal. You're going to ask yourself, what if? What if I just continue? Where would I be right now? You ask yourself, what now? What do I do now? The first thing you miss out when you quit too soon is the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to evolve into becoming a more resilient, capable, able person to achieve more and more and more. And if you think about quitting, you have forgotten about your why. The why you decided upon when you initiated the path in the first place. Reflect again on your why. Review and renew and reignite its importance in your heart. Your persistence is revitalized when you can get yourself to remember what initially created the passion inside of you. The message is quite clear. Never give up. Time will pass anyway, whether you are in the process of becoming or not. In 5 years' time, or even in 10 years' time, you will still be 5 years older or 10 years older. The question is not whether or not the time will pass, but how will you arrive when that time has happened? Will you arrive with regret, or will you arrive with joy? The choice is yours. Usually it is just about when things are going to turn around for the better when you are tempted most to give up. It's kind of ironic, but life works out that way. So when you're feeling the desire to give up and stop pursuing what you decided on that was so important to you, it is usually a sign at that point that things are about to turn around. Remember that when you are in the point of wanting to quit too soon, that is the sign that things are just about to turn around. Remember this. And as always, this is yours truly, Charles Prosper, your consistency success coach, wishing you to stay consistent and persistent and be successful.